All right, guys, some pretty exciting stuff going on in the world of Apex Legends esports today. It looks like some old heads inside of the Apex scene could possibly be returning, as it looks like the tides of Apex could possibly be returning. We've been getting more and more good news and more good feedback from those who typically like to complain a lot, myself included. Let's dive in and talk about what's going on inside of the Apex esports scene. A lot of similarities, I might add. Like a lot of like the same events happening, just different people. Let's start it off with this. Obviously, Hal talking about the patch notes. We saw in my main channel video, his Watson, a couple others snipe down, all saying this has been good news for Apex consistently. It's like things are getting better. Will that be the trend? Well, let's talk about how many more people seem to be showing signs of presence in Apex esports. Team Nemesis getting picked up. Notice this when Remix Powers, Zuni, and Noises. Yes, you see that right. Noises inside of Apex esports. Noises obviously a pretty fan favorite for many years now inside of the Apex esports scene. So happy to see Noises back around. Also, Navi. Also, this was a little bit controversial though. They did make an announcement back into the Apex esports scene, but of course there was already a little bit of worry because you had the Matafi roster that was basically parted ways with, and there was a little bit of drama behind that. They were trying to get some extra staffing and it didn't look like the funds were all there. I think they wanted a coach. It wasn't approved and what was going on. And then they come back and all of a sudden, none of this is a problem. Now, given they did just sign the world champions, Go Next Esports, which did not re-sign with Go Next. Go Next obviously probably couldn't afford their new price tag, being that they're now world champions, which is fair. Navi seems to be able to pay that price, it seems, after having some weird fund struggles or not getting things approved. What, I mean, you can even see Aurora like commenting like, no way, like what is this? But you know, besides the point, we'd like to see them in the scene, big organizations, big representation. So I guess we can't complain too much. They also did note, not only is it Go Next Esports with their player roster, they've also got coaching staff as well. So we'll be interested to see how Navi performs, obviously, in the upcoming events. Also, looks like Sentinels could be another one that might be returning, because now we should say this is like a World Cup thing. Sentinels basically are probably going to get involved more and more just because they have become a partner for the Esports World Cup. And they've partnered up with the Esports World Cup Foundation, the organizing body of the World Cup, I should say. And in the highlighted, you can see on the Apex Legends competitive Reddit thread, Sentinels will be seeking players or teams looking to become part of the organization in the time for Esports World Cup 2025. Sentinels will aim to sign 1 to 2 additional teams. Interested parties can reach out. Obviously, Apex Legends is one of the games at the World Cup. Will Sentinels get back involved there? Aurora also making an announcement. This is the analyst from former Luminosity that used to basically follow everywhere Sweet Dreams went. This is Sven. He's coming to the Aurora camp, and I think this is one of the best analysts in the game and has been for a while. This guy finds so many creative tools in the game that many people just aren't paying attention to, and strategies. I'm happy about this pickup. I think it's big, and obviously something probably pretty valuable for the team. We'll see how they do with this pickup as well. I think one that many people are looking into, this kind of coincides with a couple of things. Could this be esports related? Could this be just the Hal thing, talking about, is Apex coming back? Is Apex getting better? This is good news to see, though. Asu actually comes out to say Apex Legends, and okay, well, this is what you like to see. Some old heads, some goats, some people that have been really big into the scene for a very long time, starting to show some signs of interest in the game. You've got Hal smiling. You've got, look at this. This is where things get a little bit crazy. Nathan, right? Former Apex Pro as well. That was one of the fan favorite mouse and keyboard players for a while. This guy basically, I don't even, would you say forced into retirement? I mean, it just didn't look like a roster change was going to suit him well. And Nathan just kind of was at a moment where it was just time to step away. What does this curious emoji mean? Is Asu looking at something with Nathan? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem likely, but why are the mysterious tweets coming in? Is Nathan just aware of a return, or is he aware of a decision that's being made? Is Nathan just planning to also come back? Did he just like basically tag team this and decide to echo it? I don't know, but it looks like people are obviously just getting more and more involved with Apex, at least versus than before. You could see the obvious excitement in the comments, though. Even Zach Mazer saying, holy Aura, like, could you imagine just seeing a return of Asu and Nathan to the game? That would be pretty big, despite whether or not they do anything comp related. I just think showing signs of interest to the game that we thought was really on its last leg, that would be a huge bump and boost for them for sure. Also, that's not the only announcements that you will be seeing. I mean, I've been hearing more and more about these PSQ winners. I've actually had many other organizations reach out to me, a couple to be specific, to say that they were also looking to come in. Who should we be signing? Who should we be looking at? Obviously, the first unsigned people that are on the up and up right now are these PSQ winners inside of all of these regions. Some of these teams are obviously trying to, heavy hit North America just because that's where the money is, it seems. But I am also trying to preach EMEA not to be slept on, APAC North, APAC South, none of these regions to be slept on, even South America being a part of the American region, not to be slept on. We've seen South America continuously get better and better, and I've always been advocating for them, at least for the last couple of years, I would say, for sure. But VSM, I have heard there's another organization in the works getting into the scene, and they're looking at this roster. Some of these other teams, obviously, I'm sure, are being talked to. Ape Gang, right? Some of these are former Pro League players anyways, so we know that teams want to sign them as long as that interest is there. That's where my problem has been with the game. I didn't feel like the interest was there, but something seems to have flipped, and the positivity is starting to get on the rise, and I think that's why you're starting to get more interest inside of this pro scene. And even though we're kind of wondering what's at the end of this year, because we've heard that ALGS may be going to the back burner, but that's obviously a story for another day. Let's dive in and talk about these groups. All the groups for the pros did get released, and so you can see these groups are as follows. Group A, Falcons, VDR, Liquid Alienware, Oblivion, Stallions, Board, Huss, looking for Goth Girl, Ape Gang, and Flat. So two of those PSQ winners going to be in there. And then Group B, Shopify, Rebellion, Furia, 100 Thieves, NRG, CTE, Weave, Envy, Locked In, No Name, and Unleash. And then also Group C, Virtus Pro, Complexity, LG, X76, Thuggets, Purple Slushy, Broskis, VSM, ACP, and Nice Guys. You'll know that some of these guys that barely slipped in last year, they slipped in for the first time, whatever, they're starting to now consistently be involved in this pro league. They're no longer just the challenger circuit guy that barely made it in and bottoming out. They're basically the new middle of the pack team. So pretty exciting stuff to see some of these players grow as individuals, especially some of these challenger circuits, teams that were kind of called out for cheating or maybe whatever, and now they're just solidified actual pros who have basically had to prove themselves time and time again. Don't forget, the ALGS Open is coming up May 1st through the 4th. This is going to be in New Orleans Convention Center. Just take a look at this bracket. I mean, this is unlike anything we've seen in Apex before when it comes to the ALGS scene. Winners bracket round 1. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds of winners round 1. That is unbelievable. The fact that they're able to fit that much, of course, is insane. All happening in the first set of May 1st. You got 11 a.m. for 4 of these groups, 3:15 for the last 4. There is so much Apex being played on simultaneously. And then also you'll go into winners bracket round 2. You'll have, of course, far less teams make it out of those to come into winners bracket round 2. Elimination rounds continue as well, but all so much Apex happening. I don't even know how the viewing part of this is going to be. There's so much to keep up with. How many casters are they going to have ready? How many streams are they going to have going at once? How's the main stage action going to work? Obviously, we'll keep you all up to date here on the channel, but oh my gosh, this is going to be insane. 160 teams are going to be competing at this thing. This is just wild. All for it to come up to a match point finals. This is where things get crazy because this is an open, right? I love the idea because I feel like they're testing what may happen at the end of this ALGS year 5 thing. We've also talked about the whole ALGS may go somewhere else. Maybe a new company comes in, or maybe it's not ALGS anymore. Will we be going to this open style bracket like, times used to be in the beginning of Apex? Will we be going back to this, where everybody has a chance, everybody has an easier opportunity? What are the chances that we get some no-name team that is not necessarily a favorite that makes it all the way through and goes to match point finals and makes a name for themselves? That would be obviously crazy to watch some dark horse underdog story come out of this. So I don't know. I think that open schedule might be something that will stick around in the next year if that's kind of what they're preparing us for. Otherwise, I don't know why they just would have threw this in here for the first time ever, but I do think it's pretty cool. And of course, don't forget, after the event is over, roster mania is sure to ensue, because we've also talked about there are a lot of moving pieces at the same time, right? You've got roster lock. Some teams can make changes, some teams can't make changes, but you've got this middle of the pack now where some teams are not necessarily restricted by Pro League that still are a big roster move, still are a big roster change. If someone falls out of Pro League or someone falls out of, maybe a substitute spot, moves up, who knows what happens at the end of split 1? Maybe even someone like Design, right? Who's talking about, still sticking around. People have said he's retired, but I think, Design's not necessarily actually retiring. When you have a big roster move at the end of the first split, you may see some of these guys get re-picked back up. Maybe somebody that was in a starting position drops out of Pro League now and no longer in the conversation. So much can always happen. Stay up to date with Apex Legends esports news right here on the channel by liking and subscribing. And until the next time, we'll see you all later, Gators.